In Capitalism, a Ghost Story, author Arundhati Roy provides a deeply critical examination of the effects of capitalism on India, dissecting the often hidden influence that powerful corporate interests exert on democracy, culture, and the environment. In a narrative that combines history, economics, and social commentary, Roy critiques how global corporations, in partnership with the elite, undermine local communities and marginalize the poorest members of society. The allure and consequences of capitalism. Roy argues that capitalism, while appearing as a system promising growth and development, often acts as a powerful and exploitative force, particularly in developing nations. She describes capitalism as a ghost that looms over society, shaping policies and personal lives in ways that may not be immediately visible but are deeply harmful to local communities. By comparing capitalism to a haunting, Roy emphasizes how it invisibly guides politics and social norms, creating dependency on corporations and eroding local economies. Impact of corporations on democracy. In India, Roy contends corporate interests wield immense power, often superseding the democratic process. She examines how companies infiltrate political systems, funding campaigns and influencing policies that favor corporate gains over public welfare. This power imbalance leads to a system where government officials become accountable to corporations rather than citizens, eroding the foundations of democracy. Cultural erosion and media manipulation. Capitalism doesn't just affect the economy, it also reshapes culture. Roy argues that media and popular culture are manipulated to reflect corporate interests, fostering consumerism and dulling critical thought. Major corporations sponsor mainstream media outlets, influencing their narratives and suppressing dissenting voices. This dynamic creates a homogenized culture that glorifies consumerism while discouraging deeper social critique. Environmental degradation. A significant focus of Roy's critique is how corporate interests devastate the environment. In their quest for profit, companies extract natural resources at unsustainable rates, leading to deforestation, pollution, and displacement of indigenous communities. Roy presents several cases where large corporations have extracted resources with little regard for environmental sustainability or the welfare of local populations, illustrating how capitalism prioritizes profit over planetary health. The cycle of poverty and inequality. Roy highlights how capitalism perpetuates poverty, with wealth concentrated among a few at the expense of the many. She contends that neoliberal policies, which advocate minimal government interference in markets, ultimately benefit the wealthy and create structural inequalities. This system traps impoverished communities in cycles of debt, with limited means of escape due to the lack of support for public infrastructure, education, and healthcare. The role of non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Surprisingly, Roy scrutinizes NGOs, typically seen as agents of positive social change, suggesting that many are complicit in the capitalist system. According to Roy, some NGOs are funded by corporations to manage dissent and act as intermediaries that maintain the status quo rather than challenging it. By funding NGOs, corporations co-opt these organizations, using them as buffers to placate the public and divert energy away from structural reform. Roy's call for resistance. Rather than resign to the dominance of capitalism, Roy advocates for resistance. She emphasizes the importance of local communities reclaiming autonomy and pushing back against corporate power. Roy highlights the need for solidarity and collective action, urging readers to look critically at how capitalism shapes their lives and to recognize the power they hold in demanding change. In Capitalism, a Ghost Story, Arundhati Roy offers a compelling critique of how capitalism infiltrates and reshapes societies, highlighting its profound impacts on democracy, culture, the environment, and economic equality. She urges readers to confront these forces and resist the ghostly presence of capitalism in their lives. By providing alternative approaches and advocating for collective resistance, Roy's work serves as a guide for individuals seeking to navigate and challenge the capitalist structures that define modern life. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe.